Hello, hi. It is me, it is I. It's Friday, I'm having wine. Small town Didi, you're hiding these every internet and akastracha and bakalau yala. I'm actually not sure what video I'm gonna do first. I watched, what's it called? I watched Wives Unveiled on Showmax. I am kicking myself for not watching from Get so I can review it episode by episode. Now I'm going to give you guys like a recap of how I feel about the season. So it won't necessarily be a blow by blow or a recounting of this is exactly what happened. It won't be in sequence. It will just be the lessons I learned, things like that, that happened that stuck out to me. And it's best that I actually do it today because I started watching yesterday and I finished today. It's best that I try to get it out today while like everything is still fresh in my head. But I've also been wanting to revisit the conversation of fatherhood because it's a storyline on Real Housewives of Durban with Slee, and it's been tugging on me. And I also saw a post that I will attach. So I'm not sure which video I'm going to do first. But, this is my favorite wine glass. No more, because crack. I don't know if you guys can see, like, my brother bought me this glass from Mr. Price. So if you have a crush on me, please buy me a glass. I don't drink as much as I used to, but when I do, I like a sexy stem. I'm one of those people. But anyway, Yella, I am pissed. I've been recording for well over, I don't know how long. And my mic was here and my hair was like this. So the entire time, my hair's like brushing up against it. And I love my mane. You guys know I love my mane. But man, does it come with its set of stuff, hey? Oh my God. Maybe I'll include the intro from the other video because I was opening the wine with you guys. But anyway, let's get back into what it is I was wanting to talk to you guys about. I wanted to revisit once more. I will do this every time I feel the need to because it's literally a problem that plagues our society, I feel. And that is the issue of, the absentee father and like the aftermath of that and what that creates. What brings us on this time is Slee storyline on Real Housewives of Durban. As well as this other clip that I saw of this actor, and I forget his name. I don't know what Radon is his name. I forget his name, but he was on Isidingo, and just talent. I love it. But anyway, I'm gonna share that clip, and then we're gonna come back and have a chat about it. Great.
Because I only met him when I was 35. That's a disgrace. That guy uyemi kolbating abansheba balla.
Oh. Kera ngwane. Excuse. Nawaratiam.
Abari umntana kaPuti. That's what she said, and then she just came abangaga. Family.
And you can see
it confirmed that
yeah. Why does it hit you so hard still, even now?
Because my upbringing is sharp.
Excuse Bradon. Excuse Bradon.
Your upbringing I see sharp. You question a lot of things and you try to make a living kanto
plan
until ube sharp and then solely you are a father of 2 kids.
Sure.
And then going out along your actual roots.
Yeah,
yeah,
because that moment, as small as it seems, it's clearly the most important moments in your life.
So, in terms of Slee has two daughters, and she goes to see her traditional guide, the person she's initiating with. And she says to him, I want to do the ceremony for my girls. I don't know what it's called, but it is to initiate them into teenhood. And she's like, I want to sit down with my dad or try to figure out what's going on there with my dad, because my children's father side don't do cultural practices, right? And then African cultural, like spirituality and things of that nature, they are Christian. But I also don't have access to my paternal side because of the lack of a relationship I have with my dad. Her guide says to her, listen, you need to understand that a man can be an ignorant person. And I think what he meant by that, or what I understood from that, is that it wasn't to give them a way out, but it was to say, men get to do this. Men get to make kids and abandon them and think nothing of it and think there are no repercussions. And he then warns her to say, you are going to go in search of a father and you're going to find a man. And I fear that you'd be doing more harm than good by doing that. And when he said that, it like dawned on me that a year or so ago, I came across a TikTok of another traditional healer who was like, she always advises when she has her, her clients coming through, that speak to your maternal side first, because that's known. It's a guarantee. Your paternity is always in question, right? And it dawned on me who comes from a matriarchal tribe, the whole me, it was like ding, 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 because patriarchy is so pervasive and we run around here acting like patriarchy is inherently African, which is just not a thing. So much so that we have people running around feeling like they don't know who they are simply because they don't know where their dads come from, because we're like, your identity is your paternity, which is wild as fuck. I feel like it's an attempt to diminish that your mother carries you. She actually gives you life. She births you. So to strip some of that power away, that is like birth given, right? Like you're born with a womb, it just happens, and then you can carry life and stuff and you go through the motions and whatever. To strip away some of that power, we've decided that your identity actually lies in your dad. How in the fuck did we come up with that? How? Okay. And then we walk around here wounded. We have a grown man here crying, and it's good. I like to see that people have access to their emotions. I understand he's a performer, but that felt real to me. And I loved to see it, and I hope he gets the healing he deserves by understanding that. I've done a video on here about how maybe these dads aren't as important as they're being made out to be. And I'm not wrong. I stick by that. Slee to me is auditioning to become a hospice surrogate wife or a hospice daughter. And I don't know if you've seen this trend yet, but the idea of this is that a man is nearing the end of his life, and then he decides that that's when he wants to settle down, right? And he marries some woman who's desperate enough, and she's always wanted to be a Mrs., or he goes back home and they set him up with some woman that's always wanting to be a Mrs., knowing that his kidneys are actually failing. And then for the next however many years of his life, you are his bed, like you are at his beck and call, you're his nurse, essentially like hospice care, but free, because they're always trying to extract labor from you. Slee is auditioning to me as I'm watching her go through this, calling her dad never calls her, by the way. If you want to have any kind of, we learned this man has 16 kids, and they've all said to her many siblings have said to her that I spoke to dad, and then she's like, it used to hurt her when she'd talk to one of them and they'd be like, oh, when I spoke to dad the other day, when I spoke to dad this other day. Then her brother said to her, you need to not feel anything like that, because I can guarantee you, anytime they speak to that man, they made the phone call. And that's what I'm saying about those of us who had a present dad and the lies we tell. Like, we omit that very crucial thing of, I called dad the other day and we had a conversation. It's, I spoke to dad, right? You're trying to position yourself not quite like her. You're the one that he wants. It's 16 of you, bitch. He don't want none of you. Okay? And you need not to feel anything about that, because it's nothing in you. Clearly, he's the broken thing. And you're having to run around here asking the why. You know, we have a grown man here crying because he's like, life was so hard growing up, and I feel like maybe if he was around, it would have been better, or not. Oftentimes they make things worse, these people. Oftentimes they do. Men getting to abandon their children the way they do, for me, is cause for us to revisit idolizing the nuclear family, which, by the way, is very much not a concept of us. It's very much not African, and I am not going to take that shit back. It's rooted in whiteness. It's rooted in capitalism. It's rooted in white patriarchy in particular. We know nothing about this thing, and that's why it doesn't work. The village we speak of when we talk about raising children very much has to do with a whole lot of women. And that's always been the case. Even in the instances where the men are in the home, half the time they're taking up space, breathing our clean oxygen, and they out here, like, for me, exhaling like twice the amount of dioxide that we need because they just rubbish. And it's like, it's a fucking mess for us to continue to perpetuate this notion that every child needs a mom and a dad, because in any way, that's not possible. Like, all things being equal and all things being perfect, that still doesn't happen for a number of reasons. So why do we continue to sell people this idea that the identity, first of all, lies in their paternity, and second of all, that you must have a dad around? I just watched, and I'm going to sit down and give my take on that as well. I just binged, what is this thing called? Unveiled. Widows Unveiled on Showmax. And I'm kicking myself for not watching it earlier, but it's fine. And there's a woman in there who has such a fractured relationship with her son, and they're building it back up because his present father made him, I don't know, a co-conspirator, if you'd like, made him complicit in his infidelities. Really fucked with his mental, had his son drinking excessively by making him keep secrets about his infidelities and his other children, had his son going to ATMs, depositing large sums of money into accounts that he didn't know about, to only later down the line tell him, oh, it's child support for your other siblings. A father, right? For all intents and purposes on the outside, looked like that's the guy that you get. A man that can provide for you. Abused, mentally abused his son, right? But you need a father, right? You need a man in the home to teach the son how to be a man. You fucking don't. And the teaching of that being a thing needs to stop, because a lot of you are being made to walk around here with wounds that are rooted in lies. That wound, or maybe if he was around, he would have done this, bitch, he wouldn't have. You're yearning for something that doesn't even exist. We're lying to you, those of us with dads who were present. We're not telling you the truth of what it is to really have, and I've said to you guys before, every time somebody says to me, I had a good dad, they probably just had a dad who had a good job and he paid for some shit. And that is the standard of good fatherhood. So he got to get away with being like avoidant and void and even abusive to their mom in all types of ways. He left other scars, but they can't talk about that because see, he bought them a Mini Cooper. You know, he paid for the school fees. That makes him a good man. That makes him a good dad. And you're out here as Slee running after this man who is running away from you. And the moment he can't do for himself, he's going to expect you to wash his feet. You whom he never put a fucking cent into. He's gonna want to move into your house, have you and your daughters take care of him because that's still your father. Well, I was still his daughter. When he walked away from me, I was still his child. Very manipulative. I believe in cutting parents off, especially as African kids. I believe in that shit. You don't do shit for me? Wow. You see how this works? Because you started it. You being the leader, you being the elder in this. I'm just following your lead, you see. We're doing people a disservice. We are hindering people from celebrating the beauty of the lives that they were able to have by constantly trying to say to them, oh, but you lack this, and this is in fact like an empty can of fucking, I don't know. It's nothing. This thing that listen, if you were raised in a loving home by your grandmother and your mother, and you yearned for your parents because you saw the other people around you have their parents, or you had your mom and there was no, listen, that bastard was never going to contribute anything meaningful in your life. And I need you to take me seriously at that. And I know it's hard, and maybe I'm speaking from a point of privilege, but I'm also speaking from a point of having had a dad. I've explained to you guys on here multiple times, and I'll continue to tell you guys, my dad and I were able to have the relationship we're able to have in my older years, when really I came out of teenhood, because I had to abandon a lot of things that society puts in me. The standards that I was holding him to, he wasn't able to perform fatherhood on that level. And I resented him so much for it. I punished my dad so much, and I overlooked the other things that he was doing. Just him being present and just saying, well, I'm here. Like, he didn't even know in what way to show up, because this is the template, right? He doesn't know what to do because he can't perform this role. And I'm also resentful because other dads are performing this role. And why can't, and I was just not able to appreciate the ways that he was able to show up until I got a little bit older. And I could feel so fortunate that regardless of this other stuff, this man shows up and tries to parent me. I'm difficult to parent. I'm very confusing to my parents. Like, baby, they don't know what to do with me. You can tell they're confused. They're like, hi. Like, that's my mom. She always says that to me. My dad would sometimes laugh because of the people he named me after. It would make sense to him why he can't figure me out. He couldn't figure his Rachadis out, and that's who he named me after. Like, he just thought they were badass. So he was like, also, he didn't want beef. That's why he named me after everybody. But it's a very long. If we get to 1,000, you guys can ask me about me. We can do a little ask me about me. But in terms of people like Slee, who are running around here crying and seeking this thing, and I think it's not fair perhaps of me to say, let it go. Sometimes you need to journey and get to the other side and realize that it's a dead end. Like, this road actually leads to down a cliff and to your death. You get nothing here because this person is empty and they have nothing to offer. Sometimes you do need to journey to get there. But I think my takeaway from things is always the asking the whys, the why and the why and the next why. Why do I think this? Hence why I'm saying the deconstructing of what we assume the normal family is, or what we've decided. This is why I say to you guys that I don't believe in broken homes. I've said this multiple times and I'll continue to say it. I just believe in different. Homes are structured differently and homes look differently. Nothing is ever, like, we aren't a monolith in any way. I'm not like you. Like, it's not all Black people. I'm a Lobedi person and you are Tswana, and even within my little corner of the world, from this village to that village, we do everything. So this idea where we've tried to sell this idea that the family, if we're saying it's gotta be a mom and a dad and 2.5, and it has to look exactly like this, you find yourself trying to fit in a mold that isn't quite comfortable. And sometimes you probably grew up in a multi-generational household. Your mother was there, and your grandmother was there, and it was you and your siblings, and people were saying things like, hey, but there was so much joy in the home. There was warmth, and your grandmother was singing you guys hymns, and you were feeling loved, and you were well kept, and you were fed. At no point when you were at home did you feel something is missing. It's always when you were outside in the world, when you would hear people say things like, oh, but where's your dad? That's a little weird. Other people had to inform you that you're going without something. You didn't experience that. You were told that you are in fact going without. Meanwhile, everything was perfectly fine. Ask the whys. Ask, when was this room made? Who was it made for? Did I get a say? Am I even compatible with this? Be a child with a burger. I've seen my kids' friends do this. I've seen my niece and nephews do this when they're very young. Because of how we cook, how we plate, they can see the relish, like kichu kimowe namaimo wo. Their food is separate, right? And then that's how they learn things. The tomato isn't there, and they see things separately. When they start to go out to restaurants and they give them like burgers or sandwiches or anything stacked with multiple ingredients, they pick it apart. If you have a kid, you've seen your kid do this, right? They take the bun, they want to put it there, they want to look at the patty, they want to put this up, they want to be like, well, no, I don't eat this, right? They throw it away. They're like, I don't like that, right? And then they build it back, or they eat it deconstructed the way that it suits them. Fuck how you served it. I'm gonna deconstruct this thing. I'm gonna eat it and the stuff I don't want, I'm gonna leave over there. That's not my vibe. Don't take that. Don't take somebody saying to you, oh, the nuclear family, and just go ram. No, pull it apart. Be that kid. Be inquisitive and ask the whys and make people uncomfortable. Don't take on norms that were created for whatever purpose that you don't even know. It was to get everybody to buy a television set, by the way. Hello, capitalism. Because if we all live in our grandmother's yard, we're all watching that one fucking TV screen, aren't we? And then we're going to bed. But anyway, bye, Yala.